What Nigerians should demand from every House of Reps candidate. Every election season, House of Representatives candidates come to communities with promises. They promise empowerment. They promise scholarships. They promise jobs. They promise roads. They promise to attract development. They promise to speak for the people. But before voters clap, we must ask one serious question: does this candidate actually understand the office of a House of Representatives member? Because a House of Reps member is powerful. But a House of Reps member is not the president. A House of Reps member is not a governor. A House of Reps member does not control the state budget. A House of Reps member does not run local government. A House of Reps member does not personally award every contract in the constituency. So if someone is asking to represent you in the House of Representatives, you must demand more than posters, campaign music, rice, cash, and sweet promises. You must demand clarity. You must demand competence. You must demand accountability. Welcome to Win and Govern Nigeria, where we help candidates campaign better, leaders govern better, and citizens demand better. Today, we are discussing what Nigerians should demand from every House of Reps candidate. First, demand that they understand the office. The first thing every House of Reps candidate must prove is simple: do you understand the office you are contesting for? A House of Representatives member represents a federal constituency in the National Assembly. The job includes lawmaking, oversight, representation, budget review, committee work, and speaking for the constituency at the federal level. So before you believe any promise, ask, what can you do directly as a federal lawmaker? What can you only influence? What requires partnership with the president, federal ministries, state government, local government, or private sector? What is outside your power? A serious candidate will explain honestly. A desperate candidate will promise everything. And voters must stop rewarding candidates who promise what their office cannot deliver. Second, demand a clear legislative agenda. A House of Reps member is first a lawmaker. So every candidate should explain the laws, bills, motions, and reforms they intend to support. Do not only ask, what will you give us? Ask, what laws will you support? Ask, what federal issues affect this constituency? What reforms do you understand? Will you speak on education, healthcare, security, agriculture, small business, youth employment, taxation, digital economy, infrastructure, public accountability? A candidate who has no legislative agenda may get to Abuja and become silent. And silence is not representation. A serious House of Reps candidate should be able to say, these are the issues affecting our constituency, and these are the laws, motions, and reforms I will push. That is better than empty campaign noise. Third, demand oversight, not just empowerment items. Many voters judge lawmakers by what they share: rice, wrappers, cash, motorcycles, sewing machines, grinding machines, scholarships. These things may help some people temporarily, but they are not the full job of a House of Reps member. A serious representative must also conduct oversight. Oversight means checking whether federal ministries, departments, and agencies are doing their work properly. If a federal road in your constituency is abandoned, your representative should ask questions. If a federal project was budgeted but not completed, your representative should ask questions. If a federal agency is supposed to serve your people, but nothing is happening, your representative should ask questions. If funds were approved and citizens cannot see results, your representative should raise the issue through proper legislative channels. So voters must ask, how will you monitor federal projects affecting this constituency? How will you use committee work to demand accountability? How will you follow up with federal ministries and agencies? How will you report abandoned projects to the people? A representative who only shares items but does not conduct oversight is not doing enough. Representation is bigger than seasonal generosity. Fourth, demand a real constituency plan. A federal constituency is not just a name on a ballot paper. It is people. It is communities. It is wards. It is markets. It is schools. It is health centers. It is farmers. It is traders. It is students. It is workers. It is young people looking for opportunities. Every House of Reps candidate should understand the constituency deeply. Ask, what are the top 5 problems in this constituency? Which communities are neglected? Which federal projects affect us? Which roads need federal attention? Which groups are being ignored? What do youths, women, traders, farmers, teachers, and workers need most? A candidate who does not understand the constituency cannot represent it well. You cannot speak for people you do not listen to. You cannot represent communities you only remember during election season. Fifth, demand budget monitoring. The federal budget affects constituencies across Nigeria. A House of Reps member participates in reviewing and approving national budgets. So voters must demand budget awareness. Ask, how will you monitor federal budget provisions affecting this constituency? How will citizens know which federal projects are allocated to our area? How will you explain the budget to your constituents? How will you track implementation? How will you inform us when projects are delayed, abandoned, or completed? A serious representative should help citizens know what the federal government has planned for their area. If there is a project in the budget, the people should know. If money was approved, the people should know. If implementation is delayed, the people should know. Representation should not happen in darkness. Sixth, demand regular communication. A House of Reps member should not disappear after election day. During campaigns, candidates are accessible. They attend meetings. They visit communities. They answer calls. They greet everybody. They promise to remain close to the people. But after winning, many become unreachable. That is poor representation. Every House of Reps candidate should explain how they will communicate after the election. Will there be a constituency office? Will there be town hall meetings? Will there be quarterly reports? Will there be community visits? Will there be public updates? Will there be a clear way for citizens to submit complaints and suggestions? Voters should ask, how often will you report back to us? Where can citizens reach you? Will you publish your legislative activities? Will you tell us the bills, motions, debates, and committee work you participated in? A representative who does not report back is treating voters like a ladder. Useful during election. Abandoned after victory. That must stop. Seventh, demand courage to speak. A representative must not be silent when the people are suffering. If policies affect ordinary citizens, your House of Reps member should speak responsibly. If the constituency is neglected, the representative should speak. If federal projects are abandoned, the representative should speak. If citizens are facing insecurity, hardship, unfair treatment, or lack of federal attention, the representative should speak. This does not mean shouting every day. It means speaking when it matters. So ask every candidate, will you speak for the constituency even when it is politically uncomfortable? Will you represent the people or only protect your party? Will you ask hard questions when necessary? Will you stand for your constituency even when powerful people disagree? A silent representative may enjoy Abuja, but the people at home may suffer. 8. Demand character and competence. The House of Representatives is not a place for empty popularity. It requires seriousness. It requires reading. It requires debate. It requires negotiation. It requires understanding national issues. It requires courage. It requires discipline. So voters must ask, Can this candidate understand laws? Can this candidate speak clearly on serious issues? Can this candidate study budgets? Can this candidate work with others? Can this candidate manage public trust? Does this candidate have a record of service? Does this candidate listen? Will this candidate represent all communities fairly? Do not vote only because someone is rich. Do not vote only because someone is popular. Do not vote only because someone shares items. Money is not representation. Popularity is not competence. Noise is not leadership. Ninth, demand measurable promises. Even as a lawmaker, a House of Reps candidate can make measurable promises. For example, will you hold town halls every quarter? Will you publish legislative reports every 6 months? Will you maintain a functional constituency office? Will you publish federal projects affecting the constituency? Will you track your bills, motions, and oversight activities? Will you create a public feedback channel? These are measurable promises. Citizens can track them. A vague promise gives the politician room to escape. A measurable promise gives citizens power to demand answers. So when a House of Reps candidate says, "I will bring development," ask, what exactly will you do? How will you do it? When will you report back? How will we measure your performance? In closing. So, what should Nigerians demand from every House of Reps candidate? Demand that they understand their office. Demand a clear legislative agenda. Demand oversight, not just empowerment items. Demand a real constituency plan. Demand budget monitoring. Demand regular communication. Demand courage to speak. Demand character and competence. Demand measurable promises. Do not judge a House of Reps candidate only by what they share during election season. Judge them by how they will make laws. How they will conduct oversight. How they will represent the constituency. How they will monitor federal projects. How they will report back to the people. And how honestly they explain what the office can and cannot do. This election, do not clap for every promise. Ask better questions. Because when citizens understand their office, candidates become more careful with promises. This is Win and Govern Nigeria. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with a voter, a candidate, or a campaign team. Because winning an election is only the beginning. The real victory is improving the lives of Nigerians. In our next video, we shall discuss what Nigerians should demand from every House of Assembly candidate.